Welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, the show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs use human design to shift from hustle to flow without sacrificing results. Come here to become an unshakable human and build an unshakable business according to your human design. I'm your host, Nicole Explores. Hello and welcome to Unshakable with Human Design, everyone. I'm your host, Nicole Explores, and we are back with episode 2 of our profile series. We are going to be talking about all 12 profiles. Every profile will get its very own episode here on this show. I hope you join me for all of them because it's so interesting to dive into all of the profiles, to understand what our kids and our partners and our friends are, because it gives so much flavor to life. Your profile is such a key component in living in alignment with your design. And often what we find is one of the first places that I'm looking when someone tells me, when I do readings with people, I ask them, where are they facing resistance in life? Tell me about what's going on with you. So I can start looking at the chart with an idea of what they are struggling with. Where might they be out of alignment? And I can start to pull that in when I'm prepping the reading. And one of the first things that I'm looking for is, are they out of alignment with their profile? And the reason for that is because being in alignment with your profile is either going to create this beautiful harmony in your life where things just feel like they make sense because it gives you a process for understanding how you get through life along the path of your purpose and also who you are here to be, what people respond to in you. So when we're talking about our businesses, and I teach your profile as your brand, this is a core component of your brand voice, is how you show up. And there's certain characteristics that are definitely by each of the lines by themselves. But when we put these profiles together into the individual profile, where we get the 12 different profile combinations, we get even more flavor than if we look at them, I'm a 1 line and a 4 line, right? So that's what we're going to be diving into here. But it can show us so much. It can tell us what's maybe wrong in our process or what's holding us back in our own process. And it can also show us just what's going to make us magnetic to people, what's going to feel really true for us. It can help us see maybe why some things have not worked for us in the past that have worked for other people, but when we tried to do them, they just didn't fit. And sometimes that's a process of us going through misalignment to find our alignment, to find the shifts. That's often where we find our path, is by recognizing that we're on the wrong one. So I hope that you listen to these episodes in the profile series and you're listening for some of that process. And you're asking yourself questions like, am I following that? Is that something that I am doing? Am I allowing that to come through in my life? And if not, how can I shift that? So this is going to be a really, really impactful series. There will be 12 episodes. We're going to be together for a while with this one. We've talked about the lines on this show before, but we have not talked about the profile specifically until this series. So I'm really excited to be doing this with you. If you love it, we have a contest running right now. If you share this episode or any episode during the series, and you can do this multiple times, by the way, not just once, but share a little screenshot or something about the show, about the episode, why you love it, why people should listen, and help us get the word out by sharing it in your Instagram stories. And tag me, please. I'm at Nicole Explores Official, and you will be entered in to win a human design reading with me here on the show. The last one we did was with Christy Wild. That was, that was several months ago. We'll link it up in the show notes for you. But that episode, you'll hear she got so many ahas and really got so much value from that. And it was a completely free reading that she won just by sharing this show on her page. So if you would like something like that, all you have to do is do the same thing. Share it on your Instagram, tag me so that I can collect that entry for you, and then we will announce the winners after the series is over. Okay, so let's dive into the 1-4 profile. We're going to talk about the 1-4 today. Our last episode was on the 1-3 profile, the Investigator Martyr. Now we're going to go to the Investigator Opportunist. Now, this is also part of the right angle crosses. This is a personal destiny. What that means is this has to do with this person's destiny. If you are a 1-4, or if you are a right angle cross, when you look at your incarnation cross on your human design report or on your human design chart, you say incarnation cross, and then it's either going to say right angle cross of, and then whatever your cross is, or left angle cross of, then the cross, or it'll say juxtaposition cross. Whatever it says, if it says right angle cross, then that means you have a personal destiny. And what personal destiny really means is that this is about you. This lifetime is not about cleaning up old karma or anything from past lives. It's not about the other. Your destiny is not tied to your connection with other people. Your destiny is tied to your own process and your own discoveries here in this life. They have to do with you. So different than somebody like me, who I'm a 5-1, I have a left angle cross. So my destiny has to do with other people much more than it has to do with myself. So, and we get the right angle, left angle. It's really based off the profile. That's how we determine that. So a 1-4, if you are a 1-4, you will have a right angle cross. You will have a personal destiny. But here's what's different from you versus what sounds like almost the same thing, right? The 1-3. Both have ones. One is in the front, which is the conscious side. But we have, instead of the 3, we have the 4. Here's what makes this different. First of all, this is what we call a harmonic profile. The 1 and the 4 are harmonic lines. In the last episode, I talked about the different lines and how they stack up on top of each other. So the visualization that we give for that is a house. You have a house with 2 floors. The first floor has the first line, the second line on top of it, the third line, and then you're at like the ceiling of that first floor. Then on the second floor, the floor of the second floor is the 4th line, the 5th line, and then the 6th line. And the 6th line is almost sitting on top of it, like hovering above almost. Now, what's interesting about this and what makes it harmonic is the first line is the first part, the bottom of the first floor, the foundation of the first floor. The 4th line is the foundation of the second floor. So we get this harmony because they are connected that way. They are 3 steps away from each other in the stack. What that gives us is we get 2 lines that are super grounded. The 1 and the 4, they really love a good foundation, both of them. Now, what we mean by harmonic, that might sound like this is an easier profile to have. I won't say that any profiles are easy. I'd say that they are yours, and if you're living in alignment with them, life will feel a lot easier. If you are living out of alignment with it or rocking the boat in one of the ways where you are out of balance, where maybe the 1 is leading or the 4 is leading, or you are in the shadow of one or both of your lines, life will feel harder. Harmony does not necessarily mean harmony in your life. That doesn't mean that it can't, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. What it means is that these are energies that can go together very easily, and they're very linked. One thing I'll say about 1-4s is these are usually super grounded people. These are people who can really center themselves. But that comes with, again, the alignment. The alignment of usually being an expert in something, which is that investigator side. And then also, though, having social aspects. So unlike the 1-3, where it is a very much a personal process, where the 1 and the 3 are both in that personal end of the trigram, that lower floor is about you. The second floor is about other people in that house analogy. So the 1 and the 3 are both doing, they're doing their own thing. But you have 1 now in the lower house, the lower trigram, and now we have the 4 that sits in the upper trigram, which is when we start to reach across the aisle, which is when we start to reach out to the outside world and say, oh, I want to connect with you. I need you. I have something to offer you. So what are you offering? You're offering what you are interested in and have cared to investigate and have dug into. As a 1, you now have it to offer to the people through your 4, okay? So it can easily work in harmony, and I've worked with some 1-4s. Again, These are rarer profiles. The 1-4, the 2-5, the 3-6, the 5-2, the 4-1, and the 6-3 are all these like bridging profiles where there's a very short period of time for people to be a 1-4. A much bigger amount of time, many hours will go by. Usually I think it's like a 2-hour window or something that you would become like a 1-4. Whereas you could have like almost a whole day to be a 1-3. So the probability of you landing in that spot and having your chart be that profile is much greater if you're a 1-3 or a 2-4. There's a lot more 1-3s and 2-4s than there are 1-4s. The 1-4 sits in the middle. Now, I haven't worked with tons of 1-4s because there are fewer of them, but I have worked with some. And what I have noticed with 1-4s is that they usually have a pretty strong expertise, and that works very much in their favor. And the 4, if they have gone out and done what the 4 is meant to do, which is to network and to have a network and to nurture their community, that doesn't have to be a community that they run. It just has to be a community that they are part of. In fact, a lot of 4s don't run any sort of community, but they are connectors within groups. They have no problem calling somebody that they haven't spoken to in 10 years because they just have that energy where they just don't lose people. If a 4 has gone through life nurturing both of these aspects of themselves, usually what I see is things moving very quickly and pretty easily for them. Life tends to unfold really naturally through that 4-line process. The opportunist, opportunity comes through people. I look at it instead of investigator opportunist, I look at it like the connected specialist. They are experts in something, and they're so well connected that they don't have to market their expertise. That tends to happen for them. So again, it's that personal destiny. Their destiny doesn't have to do with other people, but how they get out in the world absolutely will come through other people and their ability to nurture that network. But if they're in the shadow of one of these, if they're a 1 that is hiding away and taking too much time for solitude, then they might not be allowing that unconscious 4th line to do its thing. If they're a 4-line who is afraid of getting hurt, if they have maybe been hurt as a child, and this is something that I've seen with 1-4s. They can carry what people said, what people did, how they have been wronged, how they have been hurt in the past. They can carry that forever and to their detriment. What that does is that a lot of times will keep them from fully trusting energetically. And this is why some of the 1-4s that I've worked with, once we start to break down that wall of how they've been energetically holding back from people, because on the surface, it doesn't look like they are. They are social, they are active, they're out there with people. It's working, but this is where you can do some emotional work on opening up that 4. And suddenly like the floodgates open and all the opportunity starts coming through. But they have to be an expert. They have to show what they know and what they are an authority in, because the 1 is an authority and that 1 is sitting out front. If they don't have confidence in that, then they're probably not going to be leaning on that network the way that they need to in order for this profile to do its thing. But this is, honestly, it's one of those profiles that I see move very quickly. Some famous 1-4s. Jerry Seinfeld is a 1-4. I think he's a real great example of what 1-4s look like. He is an expert. You see, he's such a craftsman. If you've seen, he did a documentary a while back. I don't remember if I think it was like a comedy special that showed some behind the scenes, and they showed all of his notes out on the floor. Like they had his old notebooks out. And I think they made photocopies of all the notes that he had made, and it covered like a whole like section of a street. He's a craftsman with the way that he works a joke, with the way that he builds his comedy routines is so 1-line. It's like a formal and creative all at the same time, which is so much a 1-line process. The 1-line is creative. It needs to create. It needs to kind of exercise its expertise in some way. Now that can be in visual artistry. That can be like Jerry Seinfeld, where you are a comedian and you're crafting jokes, or you're writing stories, or you're writing a television show. It can be lots of things, but it's not a 2-line, which we'll get to the 2 lines in the next episode. We're going to jump into the 2-4. Very different from the talent of the 2. One is a craftsman. The one is mastery over time and always goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Ones aren't born experts at things. Ones become experts at things. Anybody who has a 1-line is probably connected to the things that they want to investigate. That's where it comes from. That's how your purpose gets lived out, is by investigating things. A 2 is not going to investigate things. They're not very interested in any of that, to tell you the truth. It doesn't mean that they don't like to learn. It's just that's not how their purpose gets lived out. But for a 1-line, you've got to investigate. You have to, or it's just not going to work. Like Jerry Seinfeld came up through the clubs and worked the comedy circuit and met people and ultimately met his great collaborator in Larry David, where that's where Seinfeld came from. 1-4s are not meant to do it alone. A 1-3 might be able to get away with that. A 1-4, it's about the connection. It is about the opportunity that comes through connecting with people, because you don't know what other spark that person is going to add to the fire you've already lit. You don't know where they're going to carry your message. You don't know where they're going to carry you. So 4s are just naturally collaborative, and they have to be. Another famous 1-4 is Albert Einstein. You know, Albert Einstein we obviously know who he was and how brilliant he was. But if you think about it, he was an out-of-the-box thinker. He was very rooted in science, but always thinking out of the box, changing the way that we viewed science and processes within the scientific community. He had to think out of the box. That comes from a mastery of the 1, and then the ability to say, okay, I've mastered this. Now we can get creative with it and make something new, or think about things in new ways. Another famous 1-4 is Gloria Steinem. There aren't tons of them. They're out there, but there's fewer of them than there are of the 1-3s because of that probability factor. But these are big personalities. These are people that take up space in the world, and they do it through really connecting with other people. But you have to allow everything in this profile series is going to be about how are you balancing the 1 and the 4? How are you balancing the conscious with the unconscious? How are you balancing the personality side with who you just are in your essence? Are you holding one of them back? Are you in shadow of one of these? If you are, you're probably going to experience resistance and friction in your life. You're going to wonder why your purpose isn't really unfolding for you. And the first place to look, this is where I'm looking here, and then I'm looking at your type, and I'm figuring if you are using your energy properly. Are you really showing up like Jerry Seinfeld? He's showing up as a manifester, and he absolutely shows up as a manifester. 1-4 manifester absolutely fits with who we know in the public eye of Jerry Seinfeld. He has friends forever and ever and ever. He has, comedians in cars where he goes around with other comedians in his network, in his community, and he showcases them. It was a huge show for him. After Seinfeld, I think he does it completely his way, very manifester. He does not like to be told what to do, and he very much has this energy of a boss. He's very much in charge. So this is how we start to piece these things together. The profile starts to tell us where might we make some subtle shifts, or where might we find a shadow that if we started to lift it into the light, we could start to see things really change. As a 1-4 in your business, it's going to be so important that you are really digging into an area of expertise for yourself, that you are really daring to investigate the things that you care about, and that you are connecting with other people and you are not lone wolfing it, because that will hold you back. So I hope you found this helpful. If you want the guide, we have a free guide for you. It's called X Factor by Design, because your profile is absolutely about channeling and connecting with your unique X factor. This is the thing that can help you stand out from everybody else in your space. We have a free guide for you. Just DM me the word X Factor on Instagram and we will send you the guide. And if you want to go deeper with profile and deconditioning your profile to know what the shadows are of each of the profile lines and how we can decondition this fast, we have another thing for you. We actually have I've released for the first time ever, I am an EFT practitioner. EFT is tapping emotional freedom technique. The reason that so many of us say affirmations and try to change things like our relationship with our human design profile, and we do it from a mind and cognitive level, and we don't really see the change. We feel like we're doing the work, but it isn't working. Oftentimes the reason for that is because we don't connect to shadows at a thought level. We connect to them at an energetic level. That's why they keep coming back. The emotions are the glue holding you to a shadow pattern in your life. For the first time, I'm making my EFT tappings for all of the profile lines and also for all of the human design types. I'm making them available individually for purchase. And all you have to do to get the link for that is DM me the word tapping on Instagram. I'm at Nicole Official. DM me that. We'll send you the link where you can go over and you can purchase any of those from the store. You can purchase them individually, so you can just buy the ones that relate to you. Okay? If you want to change fast, tapping is absolutely the best tool that I have found to decondition quickly. This is the work that changes people's lives. So I hope that you try it out. I hope you at least take a look at it. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to answer them for you. But I hope you loved the series. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you tune in for the next one where we're going to dive into the 2-4 profile. But remember, in order to have an unshakable business, you must first become an unshakable human. So thanks for letting us help you become unshakable with human design, everybody. We'll see you next time.
If you love this episode and you're a fan of the show, please show us the love on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to the show and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with other entrepreneurs on their human design journey, join our free Facebook community, Human Design for Entrepreneurs. Go to NicoleLano.me/podcast links to join the group, book a human design reading with me, or access our free human design resources. We'll see you there.